So when I started playing Generation 3 NU back in the day, one of the better wall breakers was Pidgeot. And y'all might hear Pidgeot and better wall breaker and think that I'm lying. That's an oxymoron if you ever heard one. Pidgeot break 80 attack? Hello, friend? You smoke? But, you know, Pidgeot used to be really, really, really good. And part of it was because Sableye, well, you had Aerial Ace 4. And that was by far the most common physical wall at the time. Matang and Torkoal were also, like, good. But your natural coverage, Relicanth as well. Your natural coverage, though, was still really, really solid. Your speed tier is really, really solid as well. If I'm not mistaken, Pidgeot's either 90 or 91. And that just works out really nicely in ADV NU. Puts you at the higher end of the spectrum. You got priority with Quick Attack. There's a lot of decent things Pidge could do. And although over the years, Pidgeot's kind of just fallen out of favor as people kind of realize, hey, this mon's really weak. And any other role that it really tries to do, usually something else can perform more effectively. We still actually saw it multiple times this week, and it actually won even in a game. So I'm going to show y'all some wonderful ADV NU. Y'all know it's my favorite tier. So anytime I feel like there's games worth covering, I'm always going to cover them. Leave a like. If you're not already subscribed, subscribe. Click my advanced GG link even while you're at it. You want some, I don't know, some product there? Go buy some. Use my link, it helps support me. Heysup Bughouse. This is a rivalry as old as, like, Lakers-Celtics. I was trying to think of other sports rivalries and I came up with nothing, which is really embarrassing, given I watch a lot of sports. Let's think. Football rivalry. I'd say Packers-Bears, but the Bears aren't rivals with anyone because they just fucking suck. Oh god. Yeah, we'll just roll with the first one. I think it works out real nice. Again, there's no preview, but both Heysup and Bughouse play a lot of the Crust gens. Heysup more specifically Gen 3 and 4. They play a lot though together, and we're gonna see Plusle versus Pelly lead, so naturally the water flying type has to switch. Not the lead I wanted to see. Yeah, I'm stunned. Anyhow, Plusle able to get a sub up, immediately T-Bolt Flare, get a bit of an idea for the set too, as you see Roar here. And Heysup pulls out a very cool tech, Baton Pass Huntail. Now, this isn't necessarily a new set in the sense that we have seen Huntail use Baton Pass alongside Iron Defense before and just be a stat passer, but what Heysup's actually got going on is a physically defensive Huntail. Yeah, he got tired of using the other bulky waters. He said, hey man, I want to pivot. Which I think is actually a pretty cool idea. I think it's not like it's some super insane new mon that's going to pick up steam, but I do think it's a cool concept at least. And I was real happy to see it. Also, Bughouse brought Stall. A horrible human being. Anyhow, the Roselia straight spike. This game actually feels straight up ripped from before 2020. When I was first playing ADV NU, over 5 years ago, these are teams that you would actually like see. Probably not like this part, but Roselia mirrors, Stall, just general fat was a lot more common. A Pidgeot. And, y'all are not ready for some of the stuff this Pidgeot's gonna do. So Hidden Power Flying gets hit on the Pelipper here. And then, yeah, the Pidgeot switches into Hitmonchan. Pelipper, checks it well enough. Chan also wants to look to remove spikes, maybe, and just catch the Sableye again on the switch with the Toxic. Unfortunately, it's Protox Pelipper, so you're not gonna be able to do that yet. You also could pencil in probably a Wish Flareon, because otherwise this would be Rest Talk usually. But he does get the Toxic on the Sableye. And also, just as a spoiler, I'm not covering this whole game, because if I did, this would take forever. This game goes over 100 turns. Most of it is Heysup switching around. I don't want to deal with that. So, Pidgeot gets back in on the Sableye's recover. So once again, with this Toxic, you could very easily just throw off an HP Flying if you want. But Heysup would rather, force us to waste a lot more turns. So as Sableye gets lower and lower, the odds of something like your Hitmonchan or even just your Pidgeot putting in a ton of work, they greatly increase. So, you get Flareon coming out here. You can very easily go for whatever. Your stab attacks are just fine. This is probably also not choiced if I had to... Yeah, no, it's definitely choiced. So he goes Huntail here, thinking Sableye would come out. Huntail also dissuades the Sableye because Surf would KO it after the Spikes chip. And he knows that a switch is coming, not in the Sableye, so you can always Baton Pass. Hyper Beam Pidgeot! I know there was absolutely no build-up at all, but as I watched this replay, because I couldn't catch the game live, unfortunately, and I saw this boy pull out the beamer, my ass fell on the... I didn't. But I was laughing my ass off. I'm like, there's absolutely no chance. I just watched a Hyper Beam Pidgeot actually work. I've been watching a lot of RBY NU games too. Hyper Beam's actually a good move back then because when you get kills, you reset, which I think is such a cool mechanic that should be brought back, by the way. The Oko, not the Oko moves, the recharge moves resetting upon kill should just be a feature. But I thought that was such a cool idea. Getting rid of Kecleon even potentially opens up something like your plus will do more work later on. So, hey, Belghaus does end up getting to remove hazards. Hey, so I accomplished my goal. He just wanted 1 kill. He doesn't have to get to remove hazards. The problem is it doesn't actually matter because they're going right back up. So, was it a true maximizing of that turn? I don't know. It kind of looks like it may have been after the Sableye Shadow Ball did 5 million, and you just get to go back to Hitmonchan there, go for spin again, and now, yeah, the spikes are super gone because, well, this is never spinning against the Sableye. Also, he gets damn near another kill there with Hyper Beam. And the funniest part is, yeah, you could just stay in and recharge if you feel like it. Now, the Pelly will always go for Protect here, so it makes the turn significantly worse, though you do get good repositioning there. He didn't end up actually protecting either, which is kind of interesting. And here, you see the sack of the Roselia here, just a reminder, with how turns work. You saw that the Sableye didn't get to move. Things that end the turn are a lot more common in ADV, so like Explosion, for example. If a Pokemon self-KOs, it'll end the turn. Similarly, if a Pokemon dies to hazards, it ends the turn. So Heysup literally just prevents this Mon from recovering here and keeps the toxic damage, though racking up. So now you see Plus will get another substitute. Unfortunately for Heysup, this Flareon is always going to be able to just deny it from doing really anything. It is where you really would need Spikes up to do much of anything in this battle. Because without them, the stall is kind of unbreakable. Like, the reality is maybe Pidgeot can do something since it's banded with Hidden Power Flying. You maybe can do it with both Sableye and Heli low. But as you see this type of free turn for Sableye to get back to full, even though it's toxic, it just puts you on such a back foot, and then you lose your item too. This is probably the most egregious misplay Heysup could have made, and it's really where you see the game get out of hand for him as well, because he just doesn't have the power anymore to break Bughouse's team. Flareon takes that hit very well too, by the way, because of it losing the item. And like, yeah, not being choice locked does provide some benefits, like Hyper Beam killing the Flareon there, but it's just not enough. So Pidgeot has to die here pretty much, unless this isn't Mach Punch here, but it is. Very exotic set, and I say exotic, it's not like this configuration is impossible, it's just probably one of the least common ones I've ever seen, especially because in recent, I'll say, games that I've seen Chan used, Rock Slide really isn't that common. It's obviously good because it hits Pelipper and still gives you something that hit Haunter, for example, on the Switch. But most of the time when you see Coverage Demon Chan, or just 4 attacks Chan, I should say, it's Earthquake is the coverage move. And you don't really see spin on that type. So I don't know. Works out really well because he needed a strong move to hit the bird with, and it worked out. I'm gonna just skip the rest of this battle, by the way. As you see for a while, it's just Heysup kind of struggling to find anything he can do. So like, he's able to sleep this, and you may think that Plusle can do something. The problem is, it's just not got anything to hit Rose. Subpass Encore is a cool idea, but he rolled into like literally an unplayable matchup. As you see here, Chan literally can't even break Rose because it's physically defensive. Or this is like the bulkiest Chan ever. Or a mixture of the two. I think it's more so this being Fizz Def, but the damage honestly makes me think it's also bulky Chan. Like bulky. And even with Bughouse's Wish user going down, I mean, there's just nothing here for Heysup. his win con was essentially going to be the Pidgeot breaking, and losing the band, I believe, really took him out of the game. Maybe there was something there after catching a flare if the Plusle was HP Ice. I think then he had some odds still to break through, because especially if you would be able to keep a Toxic going on the Chan. But since the Plusle is just not a useful set for this matchup, the game goes on, and you see a lot of switching here. It's literally Heysup trying to just get leftovers recovery. Inevitably, the Sableye will get a knockoff on something again and just not allow, you know, further item remove or further lefties recovery. So you see there, like, Chan eventually was sacked just because you can't really keep it going forever. Good kill on Pelly for what it's worth, just to make sure something dies. But, you know, you even see, like, here, inevitably, you just don't have enough assets left. So he would need to get, like, some of the most insane Gigaluck paralysis on the Rose, for example, with Plus. Like, that Mon would need to stay paralyzed. And you even see here, I mean, the Chan comes in, he did T-Bolt. I'm sure a switch was expected from Bughouse there, but he did get another T-Bolt, and it's like, it remains technically winnable. It's just, the odds are not in your favor whatsoever. And you do see, inevitably, this is just a Bughouse win, because there's just not enough power points. And their Zelia will, one day, KO the Plusle. Admittedly, I called this matchup unplayable at a point, and Heysup damn near won, if only for, what's it called? Maybe having coverage. Like, maybe not being Baton Pass Plusle this game. If it was HPI sub Encore, I believe it actually had super good winning odds, which is quite funny. Huntail also, I do believe, though, showcased some cool utility it has. Again, it's still switching to the opposing Hitmonchan pretty decently, but being able to then pivot out on the following turn, even just generating more turns for Pidgeot to wall break, is a really cool idea. And that's why I like watching Heysup games so much, because the dude is willing to try out a lot of stuff. So you end up seeing some decks that you really wouldn't otherwise ever see. It's always good fun. Anyhow, now we get Oathkeeper versus Tenebricite. There is no lead. There's no preview, but we do get Flareon versus Glalie, and the first couple turns are just very funny. So Oathkeeper decides he doesn't need Glalie this game for anything other than one spike. And this has kind of been a common joke that all Glalie does is spike and then use Explosion. And we essentially got that happening this game too, where the Glalie got a spike, it died, and then the Diglett got the KO. It's basically like the Glalie exploded on the Flareon after, like, dodging Fire Blast. So, just great gameplay all around. Glalie showcasing how broken it is here. This Earthquake damage on Matang, though, was very highly illegal. This is like the type of stuff you see and you go, oh god. The very offensive Glalie. Or it's a Matang with literally no physical bulk. I'm not sure which. Oath does pivot the Haunter in there. I don't know if he was trying to catch an EQ or something else. I thought Spike was always happening there, though. So it kind of felt like a pointless switch to me. Actually, no, it's not even a pointless switch, because regardless, you want to preserve Matang. If he does just decide to kill your mod, it's kind of dumb to lose it for nothing. And we see Oath here, sleep the Chime, get some insanely good sleep turns here. As the Chime stays asleep for literally every turn, the Bell gets to Solar Beam forever. And in here, I did feel like he misplayed it a bit. But this is assuming that I'm right about the calc, and I don't think I am. I was going to say HP Fire here, because you know there's a high chance this is switching. And you know there's no fire type because the flare is dead. I'm not actually sure though. This calc matters later, by the way, but just keep this calc in mind here. So if we go to like this, defensive Calm Mind +1 in the sun. Let's see. Did it matter that he didn't HP fire? Okay. So technically there's a roll going on there. It would have had to be a very high roll. Chime took 44 from Beam. That's literally right in the middle. So technically HP fire could have worked out. He went for Solar Beam because it still killed. You know what? I'll take it, Oathkeeper. Correct play. And now here, he goes for a very nice sunny day there. Knowing he lives. So this is a very bulky Blossom. And then he crits the Matang, which I'm almost positive mattered. I think it does like 70 usually, but yeah, not 81. And because we see that it's such a bulky Blossom, pretty decent odds that this Blossom was just naturally faster. Oath ends up going Haunter, which at first I thought was just to let this go to sleep. But no, he's Lumberry. And then he reveals a super effective hidden power, which I saw and I'm like, there's absolutely no chance you're fucking HP Fire Haunter with a Lumberry. Because remember, this is a generation where hidden power has effects on your IVs. Hidden Power Fire is most known for dropping your speed. It's why you don't see Latios run it nearly as much as it probably wanted to in Gen 5. It still ran it quite a lot, but one of the biggest things that it cost you was a speed tie against opposing Latios. You were just slower. And so it's the same deal here with Haunter, where you're just slower than opposing Haunter. Now, it could be HP Ice, which, I mean, the coverage is mostly the same when you're looking at it through like hitting Cacturn and then Blossom a little harder. You lose out on Matang, but T-Bolt does a lot as well. But yeah, no, I don't know if that was HP Fire on the Haunter or not. I know I could calc it. If HP Ice, I think it probably is HP Fire by the way, because Hidden Power Ice I just do not see doing this much. But yeah, thought it was very interesting. Anyhow, Pidgeot, hey, it's back! And since Diggle locked at HP Ghost, the Pidgeot could super easily kill it there with a return. And in Chimecho, not awake, so it will be perishing as well. I feel like technically, and this assumes Diglett even had it, if the Diglett was Rock Slide, I guess that was the better move to go for. Because Matang is asleep but also almost dead. If you win like one speed tie and get a flinch on the opposing Diglett, maybe you two-shot? Though I don't know, Diglett's bulk is so bad, but it's also not like it's a strong mon, so maybe you would need more than one flinch, and of course more than one speed tie. Regardless, look at that, 2 Pidgeot games. That's all you get, but I thought that was a pretty good showing for Pidgeot this week. 2-0 is frankly a surprise, especially considering, okay, 1-1 is frankly a surprise, but it got 2 kills and generally did a lot. This is definitely like a pretty solid Pidgeot matchup. All things considered, though, no flying resistance of any kind. It's not that common to run into on teams. Like, Matang is kind of fallen off, I feel, or fallen out of favor a bit nowadays. It's still an easy A-tier Pokemon. You just don't, I feel, get nearly as much defensive utility as you used to. It's like, Calm Mind Chimecho has fallen off ever so slightly. Haunter counterplay is generally easy enough to fit anyway if you run specially defensive Glalie. But it's just the direct utility you had defensively by checking the normal types and the flyers. It's not really as present because those monsters don't have the usage anymore. So Pidgeot kind of does have a bit more matchups where it can have some good luck. Like this one here where, okay, Pelly and Sableye are good physical walls, but you still saw it do huge amounts of damage to Sableye and even that Fizz-Def Flareon. And in this type of game, well, the Matang died early. And the team has a Diglett to trap Matang as well, if it needs to, plus a Haunter to weaken it. So just a very intelligently built team here. Nice things all around. Now, in this game, Jango actually asked me if he could use a team of mine that I'd pasted in a Discord. And it has a lead Arbok, because I was team building on vacation, and I was like, you know what? I don't have any lead Bok teams right now. I may as well build one. The team is very solid, I believe. I think Jango, this game, gets insanely unlucky with losing 50-50s, by the way, or just, in general, predictions do not go his favor. So, this is a great thing about Bok. You outtrade Glalie turn 1 very, very easily. So, it's another one of those leads that basically says to Glalie, if you lead versus me, you get 1 spike, and that's it, bitch. You better be happy with that, or your ass best be getting to stepping. So, Bok goes for Sludge, and then Haunter comes out. You still do a good amount. Here, it's an annoying turn, though, because the Glalie doubles back in. Sludging, again, is like, sure, you could do it. It's just really, really greedy. Now, here, this is a turn where I wish that I had passed him a different Cacturn, or that there was a different Cacturn on his team. So we get the kill here. I say we because it's my team. With Focus Punch Cacturn, the whole point of this is that Glalie, very rarely, runs Ice Beam nowadays, because EQ, Shadow Ball, Explosion, if you're going offensive Glalie, they're just better moves. And so Cacturn kind of just walls it, but also that means if Glalie tries to trade spikes versus you can kill a Focus. If this was a sub Cacturn, bro, oh my lord, you pull it out with the swiftness, and then you punch that boy in the mouth, and then you have a sub as well, because they're probably just gonna spike. up forever, right? Just very, very funny, though, how that would have been better. Instead, it's Encore, which is still a great move, but I digress. Chime comes out here, and this is what I mean, by the way, by him losing a very bad 50-50, or some 50-50s. This one was a terrible one to lose, though, because Psychic would have just blasted Nanakusa, the Golbat, into the Shadow Realm. Instead, you HP Fire it, do nothing, and then have to kill it the next turn with Psychic. And this is where it gets really bad. Piloswine. This is almost always banded. I don't think I've ever seen it run an item that wasn't banned. I'm sure Leftovers is okay, but it runs Choice Band. And with Chime gone, hey, that's your ground immunity. So now Octillery comes out, and you did catch an Ice Beam. This is like the best case scenario. I think here, by the way, you always double back to Chime. He T-Waved instead, which I think is fair enough. But then he goes Cacturn here and just gets popped by the Ice Beam. I personally think this is an over commitment, but I get it if you're worried about the Pylo when your Oct is like gone, right? So if you try HP Electricking and taking that trade versus Whale, you do lose the trade in the sense that Octillery will not 1v1 win against Whale unless you get like at least one paralysis. On the flip side, I don't think that this Mon is beating you necessarily, even with this Mon gone. Although, nah, I get it. I do see why that would be bad. I think you can at least take one turn, though, to trade, because as long as Oct's around. Never mind, bro. Leave me alone. It just sucks that he immediately got Ice Beamed, is what I'm getting at. So Rock Slide comes out there. He goes for a second. Unfortunately, once again, he loses a 50-50 there. He predicted, like, Ice Beam or, like, Rock Slide or, you know, whatever hidden power trying to catch the Chime, but it didn't come out. So Bot goes down. Chime does get some lefties, which is still, like, veritably good. Unfortunately, here's the big thing. And this is the calc I was referencing. 48! Yeah, that is Max Roll Magnet Hunter. And unfortunately, it means Vigoroth is 2-shot. Because now 42, I mean, that's like lower end roll. That's all you need to be able to pick it off. Very, very unfortunate for Jango there. I think if Vig had not been cheesed like that, this game became a lot more playable. Instead, now you see Chime having to get pivoted in a couple times so that it can get out of range of the T-Bolt. And unfortunately, he does not get a full para ever against the Whale here. This switch did feel a little overkill to me. I think you probably just take the damage with Chime. But last Mon was Hitmonchan, so it didn't matter. Like, Hitmonchan was always going to win at the end. It Brick Breaks the Octillery. My bricks, no. And then Chimecho's just outsped. I guess technically, though, having Chime at the end here is better because on the off chances Hitmonchan is slow, you could crit it with Psychic, and then maybe you full para versus Wailord enough to beat it. Like, your odds by this point were just so bad, though, because, again, lots of predictions he just didn't get right. I think really the only prediction that I was, like, maybe not a fan of was, this one here. And the logic's perfectly sound. Predicting Matang to be on this team is always fair. Matang's a good Pokemon. But I would always just Psychic and then play it from there, because you have the Octillery. You can just go to that versus Matang. Who cares, man? And instead it results in your Chimecho dying just about, and it opened up so much for Pylo just to have, like, influence on the game. Now, you may think I say that and it makes no sense, but think about it like this. Pylo came out here versus a Chime that, instead of being at well over half, had to switch because it was almost dead. So Oct comes out. This lets Wailord get a free switch in, and then it gets him a kill on Cacturn. And then Pylo comes back out again here, and it's just able, because the Chime is so low, it's able to exploit that, because now Jango has to play a lot more passively with it. It's, you know, it's just hard to go into it and feel happy, feel confident that you're not about to lose it to a, you know, whatever move, non-EQ. He feels forced to make this over-predict here and Rock Slide again. Costs him his Arbok as well. Again, he's just put on the back foot real bad. And then, of course, too, because the Chime was low, he goes Vig, instead of having this Chimecho easily tanking a T-Bolt. And Vig's putting that, you know, KO threshold. Yeah, no, it's just all around terrible. You could argue maybe instead of going Vig there, by the way, that he should just sack the Chime and then gone Matang. And just except that he was at least forcing the dude out. But as we saw with last mon Chan, I think that would have still cost him the game long term, unless Vigoroth got like a billion bulk ups somehow. Which, let's be honest, this mon had Boom. It was not happening. And yeah, last game, Kaboom. Speaking of Boom, Kaboom versus Zern. I don't know how to say his name. XRN. Their lead was Torkoal versus Torkoal. And this turn one, I could not explain to you, even if you gave me, like, the entire year to come up with a rationale. So Torkoal Mirror, my thought is they're just trading Toxics. Maybe they're just trading, like, random attacks. Instead, one Torkoal switches into the Wailord, the other Fire Blasts, which I guess means I can't explain this. I'm more just kind of surprised that they bothered going to Whale instead of just trading, you know? Because, like, if you're scared of Toxic, I don't feel like Whale getting Toxic is that much better. They're not Rest Talk ever anymore, and as you see here, it's Pump too, so it definitely isn't Rest Talk. So to me, I was just kind of like, just trade. Like, I don't know. Also, Fire Blast is very funny too, because there is a line where you say, you know what, no. He Fire Blasts because he thinks Kaboom doesn't want his Torkoal Toxic, so he's gonna go Matang and you kill it with... Absolutely not at all the thought process. He just knew Fire Blast is stronger than Rock Slide, so he's like, man, I'll get my damage. But just imagine if that's the thought process. It's a lot cooler. And yeah, here's why I circled over his name when I was talking about Ice Beam Glalie. Here's one of the rare times you see one. And wow, it does nothing at all. They still just trade spikes. Incredible. And again, the main thing that it comes down to Beam Glalie is it just compromises your coverage overall quite a lot. Like, it's still a good neutral move. I'm just not convinced that having coverage for Cacturn is overly helpful when it costs you having EQ or Shadow Ball, which I think are just generally providing you a good bit more. Now, you could argue Beam still does enough versus Haunter to where you don't feel like the loss that badly, since, you know, you can still boom on something like Chimecho, for example, and be okay with it. But, I don't know. Feels like targeted coverage that's overly, you know. I have seen some people talk about, like, special Glalie, though, in general, with, like, Boom Last, and I think that could be okay. Anyhow, a Glalie boomed into Matang is always the worst line to have to take, by the way, and it's why I like having, either Protect on mons like this that draw Boom from Glalie really, really consistently, or just always forcing a Ghost onto teams, because I do not like, in this of all tiers, to allow Boom so freely. Like, even here, you are inviting a Boom, potentially. Now, not in this instance, because Whale is just too healthy, so it outtrades the Gong very, very, very easily with Hidden Power Electric. But say the Whale was, like, any lower, it would have ended up booming and getting another kill for him. So, there's a little bit of food for thought. Sableye comes out from Kaboom here. This Chimecho has officially been stunted on, thoroughly walled, thoroughly dominated. And it just goes for a Seismic Toss here. You don't have to overthink anything. The Chime starts boosting. It's not really a threat at all. I mean, you even still have your Torkoal at damn near, not even damn near full, just at full. So if you had to, you could always just boom with it versus Chime. You won't get O-Code. And once again, we see finally here, Kaboom did actually have Toxic, by the way, which... This does kind of have me wondering then why'd he switch. If maybe he just liked the idea of having Whale out more and he knew Fire Blast would do nothing at all. It's just like, damn, just Toxic. Just take the Toxic trade, man. Maybe he really did worry about getting Toxic on this and he preferred having Wailord take it. I don't know, man. I don't think that's true at all. I think he just wanted Whale in to break, but I think it's very, very funny that all the time he could have traded Toxics. Here, by the way, he does just boom. He wins a speed tie for once. And now Sableye gets to come out now very, very easily. You can go for Toxic, you can go for Knockoff, whatever you want to do here. The world is your oyster. Chimecho just is not built solidly enough to win this exchange, no matter how hard it tries to, when it's not Toxic Sableye. It just will get beaten down. Slowly but surely. It may not look like it, but after that knockoff, it just does not do enough damage. So you can recover a little bit as well, just to make sure your Sableye is a little bit healthier. Of course, it gets dicey if you, I went back just because I felt like it. It gets dicey if the Chime ever goes for like a Calm Mind on your recover, but overall, when you have this healthy of a team, there's nothing that's going to happen. And you may think the crit Shadow Ball mattered, but no, there's a Matang. And you may also wonder, why didn't he go for Explosion here? And just guarantee that the rat died and he didn't have to worry about Mash missing? Well, if it's Sub-Raticate, you look really stupid. If that Raticate pulled out a substitute at the end, you look really goofy. Moving with Matang and giving Rat, like, God forbid it was like Lychee Berry Reversal Raticate. You boom with Matang. Like, I'm not convinced you win the game. If that's the set, I'm not convinced you win. Whale will die to whatever it has, it, you know, Flail or what have you. And like, I don't know what the last is here. Things it could be a Haunter, I guess. Haunter never really had a need to come out. Haunter's kind of bad into this team, admittedly. If it's Haunter last, you super lose this game, though. Maybe Blossom, I guess, could have come out at some point. This doesn't feel like a Blossom team, though, at all. I don't think you support it enough. Quadruple Boom is generally enough to support anything, but I actually do think, yeah, if Kaboom wanted to play it too safe and explode on a sub, yeah, no. Most likely that last spawn was something that lost a rat, and yeah, like I said, you look real stupid after that. But I hope you all enjoyed. Once again, shoutouts to Hyper Beam Pidgeot. Incredible set. Sorry, team. No, Heysup. No need to apologize. I'm not even on your team, but no. It's okay. We got to see cinema. I'll catch y'all in the next video, y'all. Take care. Peace.